Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Mike Gormley Show. That was the Bangles you just heard doing "Going Down to Liverpool," which is a tune that it did okay, but it wasn't one of their big hits. But it's a favorite of mine with from the band, and we did a video where we had Spock from Star Trek as a special guest, so it was kind of cool. Um, Paul Rappaport is our guest today, who is Senior Vice President of Promotion, Rock Promotion for Columbia for, well, you weren't Vice President for 30 years, but you were actually there for 33 and a third years. I thought it was a great point.
I worked my way up. I got there, but yeah, no, it was a long haul, but it's funny because when you become a vice president, it's a big deal. I mean, at
Mhm.
a record label, right? And I'm just like a blue collar kid from Bellflower, California, surfer kid, but I did go to UCLA, so I had a proper education and everything, but it was a big deal for me, to
Well,
become
to explain, when you become Vice President,
that. Well, when you
you
become
get,
you're an officer of the company, so it's
yeah, and you're flying first class, and you got access to limos, and so your life changes quite a bit.
yes, your
Um,
life changes quite a bit. You know, um, and then I became senior vice president. Wow, that's even bigger.
yeah.
That's like Spinal Tap. That's one more louder, right? Um, but no, that was a big deal. I just want to tell you just a little bit about Storm Thorgerson that we were talking about the blimp, and then I have a great Bengals story for you.
Okay.
So um, Storm Thorgerson, with his partner Audrey Poe-Powell, probably designed 80% of the album covers of anybody listening who owns records. They had a company called Hypnosis. They were the top of the line people, graphic designers for album covers. They not only did Pink Floyd, they did Led Zeppelin, they did Peter Gabriel, Black Sabbath. I mean, on and on. But Storm is most known for Pink Floyd. He designed the Dark Side of the Moon cover, which is Dark Side of the Moon album cover, which is probably the most famous album cover ever designed. But he usually didn't do graphics. He liked to take pictures, uh, um, because he used photography as a medium because he liked to bend reality. So he would create effects, take a picture of it, and you would look at it and go, is that real or is that not real? So if you see, for instance, Led Zeppelin Houses of the Holy, that's not computer graphics. Those are real kids dressed up in costumes climbing a rock face somewhere in Ireland. If you look at Momentary Lapse of Reason for Pink Floyd and you see a bunch of beds on a beach, it's not a handful of beds on a beach and then the rest CGI, like computer graphics. This is 700 beds on a beach. Um, and if you'll notice that the when you look at the album cover, it's damp, and it's damp because the day before they were supposed to do the shoot, it rained, and they had to take 700 beds off a beach and put 700 beds back on a beach the next day. So this is the kind of budget. You're talking about money.
Yeah.
You know, this is the kind of budget that Storm had. And so you would look at it and you would go, is that real or is that not real? So there's a couple of, if anybody's interested, there's a couple of documentaries on him that are wonderful. He was a graphic genius. And again, he's the guy, if you ever see pictures, well, in the book, you'll see a picture of the Pink Floyd airship. It's on the internet.
Yeah.
Well, but he designed that.
The airship became incredibly famous unto itself for a
Yeah, no,
period.
it took a whole life of its own.
Yeah, yeah.
It was way bigger than I ever thought. I knew it would be big. It was the biggest rock promotion in history. I mean, it just was.
Yeah.
I mean, it flew all over. They flew to Canada. It was like, it was crazy. Um, so, but I want to switch gears because, of your history with the Bangles. And I remember being, I remember being on the road with them But and for some reason in my mind, this particular night was in LA, but I don't know why they would be in a hotel in LA unless they were playing something, because they all lived in LA, I think. Like, so at any rate, so it was night and we're putting the gals to sleep, right? And it's women getting ready for beds, so they're in their PJs, they got their hair in curlers, these are the bangles that you don't get to see. They got pimple cream, it's like typical, gal stuff, right? So, but because Mike, as you know, in the beginning, there's no money, right? So everybody stays in the same room. So like we're tucking them into bed. It looks like the Seven Dwarfs, right? They're all in a line in these two big giant, they're all like all in a line in these beds. And their bedtime story was the charts. This was the Bengals bedtime stories. Okay, gals, this is what's going on. Your album only went up 1 point in Billboard this week, but don't worry, don't worry. Things are sliding down and you're going to take a 10-point jump. And this is what your single's doing on top 40. And so radio station just added, and this is going to happen. And then I'm the rock guy and I'm going, hey, KMET's playing your record, and it's going all up and down the West Coast. And it was really really sweet. This was their bedtime story, was how your record is doing. And then we'd leave and we'd shut the light off and go, okay, good night, kids. See you tomorrow.
I can't picture it, but okay.
Yeah, no, it was fun. There's a great, I have there's a picture that I cherish, and it's me and those guys in the book, and it's just a big hug because it was a family then. The business people, I want people to know what a family it was, right? We were more than just a record company for you guys. We're like family. We love you guys. We go out and see the band. How you doing? We're hanging out afterwards. I'm talking to Vicky about guitars.
Sure.
This kind of relationship we had. So it wasn't just flat out business.
Well, you just mentioned a key in that you were a musician first, and you were no slouch. You're playing guitar, and you loved the guitar, and therefore when you would talk to bands, you had things to talk about a lot of promotion people just didn't have. They just weren't musicians, and as great as some of them were, they couldn't get into some heads the way you could just because you're talking about music, including guys like Springsteen and Pink Floyd, who you were.
It's a wonderful entry because the guitar is this beautiful thing that has a soul, and anybody who plays guitar knows what it is, and it becomes your companion. It becomes your friend. I mean, sometimes it becomes your lover. I mean, it's that deep inside. So when you meet another guitar player. And these people from that era, they're all players before they're rock stars, right? I mean, they want to become great players. So it's very easy to sit down with David Gilmour and talk guitars, or Ronnie Wood, or Keith Richards, who actually gave me a guitar lesson because he wanted me to, experience G tuning, which is how all the Rolling Stone hits are made with this open G tuning. And it's a nice entry level because beyond the business, you can relate to them. Also, I grew up in the 60s, so all of their music's deep inside me, right? So they like the fact that I know a lot of the things about them that maybe other people wouldn't know. The Rolling Stones, for me, were everything when I was 17 years old and continued to be that way.
And it must have been a little mind-boggling that there you were hanging out with them when they'd been heroes.
It was. It's different for people like Springsteen and Billy Joel. We started at the same time. Aerosmith, Loggins and Messina. We started at the same time. I'm in no less awe of their talent, but it's different. We're just guys, right? It's like I'm the record company guy and they're the artist, and we're trying to make their career happen. Do this at the same time. But the people that came before, the people that, I'm watching Ed Sullivan, watching the Beatles, the Stones. Bob Dylan changed my life, as he did a lot of people, in my generation. And so when I meet them, as much as I'd like to tell you, oh, hey, Mike, I'm just a really cool guy, no, I'm starstruck because all of that music's inside. You can't help it because when you look at that artist, you just don't see them. You look at Mick Jagger, you just don't see, oh, as a professional that's made a great, career for him and the Rolling Stones. All the music, all the videos, all the movies, all the concerts I went to as a kid, they rush through your head. and you can't help but be overwhelmed, which I was for people like Mick and Keith and Bob Dylan. It took me a second to, get a hold of myself and collect myself, because it's a big deal.
Yeah. And you have to, I heard a story about you worked with Springsteen for years and years, and you were sitting backstage at some point and realized you'd never got his autograph.
Yeah, it was fun.
And you were kind of like, do I ask? What do I do? Because I know what you mean. You can't, you're working with somebody, you can't say, hey, can I have your autograph? You just can't do it. But
You can, you can. That's not I'm not shy. I have a wonderful autograph that I'll tell you later about from Keith Richards. It's my favorite thing that I own. With Springsteen, it was like this. We're two guys on a mission. He's on a mission to be the big Bruce Springsteen, right? I'm on a mission to help him get there. But we work so hard together that as he's becoming a superstar, it's almost funny. It's funny to him, and it's funny to me. So I'm backstage during the Born in the USA tour, and I say, Bruce, this is really weird. I've been bringing people backstage for years for your autograph. I don't have an autograph. Do you think I should have an autograph? We're laughing our ass off, right? Because the whole thing is so stupid. It's like crazy. The whole celebrity thing is so. He's laughing. I'm laughing. He goes, yes, I guess. I don't know. So he takes out a little poster, and he took it. And, and Bruce, he's a great guy. He walks in a corner and he thinks about it. Comes back, gives me this signed thing. To Rapp. My nickname's Rapp because my last name's Rappaport. To Rapp. Thanks for doing it so right for so long.
wow.
Come on.
You don't get that from artists.
That's like a guy to a guy, right? Come on. That's
Yeah.
Wonderful. It's wonderful. So,
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I know. I had some good pictures with Rod Stewart, but I never got his autograph. I just didn't sort of have the guts to ask it, because it's breaking a plane a little bit.
It is, I guess it depends. I think because a lot of the people I worked with, it was, I don't know. I don't like to ask. It's not my thing. But I'll tell you, when we come back from break or whenever we're playing a Rolling Stone song, I have a wonderful Keith Richards story about an autograph. So
yeah, I just realized I actually did get a Rod Stewart autograph because he sent me a Christmas card and signed it. So
well, look, Prince Ben, you got a Christmas card from Rod Stewart. Come on, Mike.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. We're winding down a commercial. You got to have those things when you're doing radio. We're gonna go out with let me see, what song are we going out with? I can't see in the dark. Oh, you're going out with one of my favorite. It's "Rip This Joint" by Rolling Stones. I mean, that's not like a famous Rolling Stone song, but it rocks harder than almost. It's like Little Richard. They made it to Little Richard on that song, I think.
One of my all-time favorite Rolling Stone songs.
Yeah, right. So we'll be back in a minute or so after that music, and thanks for listening, folks.